milking the cows. Hearing the extremely loud roar, whistling sounds, Kenny ran outside the barn to determine the problem. Seeing the very low, troubled plane, he shouted to his mother, "Get out of the barn!" The plane passed over the crest of the barn, over him, hitting the tree tops and crashing. Lives were changed. With deep sorrow, we express our sympathy to all family members. May God's grace and mercy be with each one. Out of feeling the need to preserve and respect the place where such a tragic event occurred, we have left the place much the same as it was then. Today, 50 years later, we graciously welcome everyone, and we're glad you came. The family members that we have met as a result of this tragedy have added joy, warmth, and meaning to our lives. To all first-time visitors, we are delighted to meet you and say welcome. Feel free to visit the site. Psalms 118:24 says it best as to how we should be. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. My Edith passed away October the 8th, 2010, leaving the house and the farm to her children, Denver, Betty, Linda, deceased, and Kenneth. All three children are here today, along with their children and grandchildren. This is a quiet, peaceful place. Farming has ceased. The years have passed, but like the ivy-covered barn, love still shows and abounds. May God's blessings be with everyone here. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you.
Here today are deeply honored to be in the presence of surviving family of those who lost their lives on United Airlines Flight 823. I wish that I could stand here and tell you why the events of July 9th, 1964 had to happen. But I'm not sure that even the seasoned person of the cloth could explain why in a convincing fashion. We are here to honor the memories of the 39 passengers and crew, but we are also here to honor the families who experienced the initial shock of losing loved ones and who have felt the pain in one form or another for all of these years. To the families, I wish to say that I'm hopeful that something we do here today can help ease your burden. Most here are familiar with David's 23rd Psalm. As a child, I thought that the psalm was prayed or sung right before young David did battle with Goliath. As I became more educated, I understood that there were many instances when David would walk through the valley of the shadow of death and call upon the Lord. The first part of the last verse has always given me pause to think and to ponder. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Life is not always good, but there is always the potential for us to experience good, even through our long suffering. David spoke of a valley that all who live must travel from time to time. Yet the peaks of joyful accomplishment also exist, and many times we experience the blessings of having reached those peaks. As I have come to know the families who have lost loved ones, and as I have become more involved in the planning of this service, I have figured out what it takes for surviving family members to attend a service such as this. I have traded emails with some of you and have been told of the difficult circumstances that befell your families 50 years ago and for years afterward. One of the fears I had is that your coming here might open old wounds and old hurts. Some of you have confided that you felt likewise. Some have spoken of trepidation and fear. Yet here you are. Your presence here is made possible by the great measure of courage that each of you possess. And it is courage that is born out of love for the person or persons you have missed for the past 50 years. This is not to slight those unable to come today. I know there still continues to be challenges for certain others. So we can keep them in our prayers and invite them to come at a different time. After a long time, the grieving gradually gives away. The people I have emailed and become acquainted with have lost a father or a mother. Some have lost a spouse, grandparents, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters. So many fatherless and motherless children. I have heard of 2 women who were left alone to raise 5 children. Women who had never before worked a job outside the home had to provide sole support for their families. And they were successful. As they adjusted and as they progressed, the goodness in living and the rewards of living gradually came back into their lives by way of their children. This serves to inspire others. There was so much brain power lost up on that hill. But the wonderful thing is that the children left behind, despite the struggle visited upon them, followed in those large footsteps and became successful in their own right. To the families, I will close by saying, your courage in coming here today is an inspiration to all. Thank you for coming.
Robert Anderson, Nancy Anderson, Linda Baker, J. M. Burrows, Mary Chesney, Robert R. Kramer, Dr. Michael Cross, Burton Edward Crowder, Durant de Ponte, Selmer Denver Ford, Dr. Philip H. Geisler, Robert Hall, Harry Avis Hall, Richard Harper Jr., Frida Ruth Harper, Roger Hanger, Paul Hester, Joseph Hobbins, Dr. R. H. Levin, Dr. Alfred Leighton, George L. Leopold, John Joseph McHale, F. O'Brien, Sam Orleans, Paul G. Pohl, Ruth McKevitt Pohl, Elizabeth Chesney Richardson, Paul Roy, G. Stephen Roshen, Larry G. Schaffer, Hugh M. Taylor, Frank Tosca, W. Whitaker, R. Stewart, Virginia K. Vollmer, Carol L. Burnett, First Officer Charles L. Young, and Captain Oliver B. Zbotke.
And we arrived yesterday, met a lot of good people. This town is a wonderful place. I consider everyone here a part of my family. Just wanted to say that.
My name is Jim Fry, and Captain Zbotke was my uncle, and as a child, we always referred to him as Uncle Ollie. And for me, he was bigger than life, and coming here this time has given me closure, and talking with everyone, I have a better understanding of what happened. I am truly, truly grateful for everyone, and can't express any more words. Thank you very much.
Alice Orleans Jordan. My dad was on the flight. I was 15. And I'm sure that some of the rescuers are here today, and I just want to thank them for everything they did, for all of us, and for the Trenthams, for everything that you guys have done, and for Tom for putting this program together. It's very special for us. I'd always wanted to come here, and I'd had the Trentham's name and number put aside for a number of years, but never followed through on it, so I'm very glad that I was able to be here with all of you.
Airplane, Elizabeth Richardson, and my grandmother, Mary Chesney, and there was a blind man that had lived with them on the plane also. But I would like to thank Rob Bible had back in 2005, he had found my mother's class high school ring, and he went to a lot of effort to get that ring to the right person. Spent a lot of time, probably some money and everything else, but without him, you know, it wouldn't have happened without his dedication to spending that time with it. Also, we'd like to thank Tom for all that he has done, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And these two gentlemen became the family here because of their hard work and their dedication to doing something.
There's how many babies here. And then these guys will get to all the football.
They said, oh, everything's fine. And then about 30 minutes later, they came and got all the waiting
For people, you know, if I don't get to thank every one of you individually, you're in my prayers. I love you all very much. You know,